Travis Wayne Goodsall. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has changed church history numerous times just in my lifetime alone, let alone changes since Brigham Young. It has been the major reason why 15 million Mormons have left the church, want nothing more to do with it. The church is incapable of telling us the truth. They keep lying. When people are able to read and understand what they read, and then the prophets come out and say, it's supposed to be interpreted this way instead. People just aren't falling for it, except for the remaining 2 million. Last week, I noticed a blatant change in how I am being treated on my computer, online, and on YouTube. Ever since I found in the Joseph Smith papers what I have already done the research to find out through research. I found the document written by the Danites, confessing of everything that they did to Joseph Smith, that they altered church history to destroy Joseph Smith, his reputation, the church, and the Book of Mormon. Confirming with their own pen that Section 115, Section 116, Section 117, Section 118, Section 119, Section 100, is it 20 and 24 or 24 and 28? I think 24 and 28. Yeah, because 20 is, 24 and 28 on baptisms for the dead, and Section 132 are all forged documents. They are not by Joseph Smith. Confirmed in the Joseph Smith papers. And again, having already found previous stuff from the Joseph Smith papers, 19 July 1840, the document of sale of Mr. Hale to Joseph Smith Jr. for the house in Susquehanna County, among others. I have never understood why the church allowed the Joseph Smith papers to be released. You know, granted, it first came out, published, so that only rich people could afford it. So that only rich people, if they actually read it, rather than just put it on their bookshelves as a centerpiece in their home, to show how good they are, being able to purchase the Joseph Smith papers. Yeah, the rich are that way. But to make it freely available, as they knew I was researching it, knew I was doing the videos on it. I never understood why they allowed the Joseph Smith papers to be released. Maybe they didn't think that the Danites had leaked that document. I don't know. Maybe they didn't think that I knew how to investigate, even though I did the videos telling you I've been researching investigations since Magnum PI days in high school, getting my private investigator's license. It was actually security guard license, but you use that for other opportunities. I don't know. You'd think that they would be paying closer attention to my life, who I am, what I do, that you keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Even though I wasn't an intentional enemy. I was just one who needed answers and didn't settle for other people's dismissals, to just use faith alone, because I'm literate. I understand what I read and comprehend when it says faith without works is dead. And I know that works is not action. It's the completion of the fruit. That seed without fruit is dead. That if you take a seed and you plant it, and nothing grows, it's dead. You become foolish if you create a whole religious belief system based on a dead seed. So I have never understood why the church would release the Joseph Smith papers that exposes the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as not just false, not just a criminal fraud, but the terrorist enemy of all mankind that Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon warned us about. And maybe the church expected that by keeping Mormons dumb, that when they stumble across my videos, that will anger them to want to hurt me. That the members would be their sword to defend the lies of this church. That's partly why, because that's what the Danites did. The Mormons who attack me do exactly as the Danites did to Joseph Smith. They didn't believe Joseph Smith. They didn't believe the Book of Mormon. They joined the church to destroy it, to change from within. That's a separate video. It was added to the pile some day ago. Whether I get to it or not, I don't know. And so when Bednar was in the church news the other day, speaking to Pathways, talking about how the gospel of Jesus Christ is joyful, he's talking about the gospel of Lucifer that takes away agency. The Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith are very clear that wickedness never was happiness, that Adam fell that men might have joy, not Eve fell and therefore must be covered up and hidden and kept silent in church. How many of you are smart enough to know about the tampered with documents of Paul by Christians? We believe the Bible to be the Word of God as far as it is translated and kept in its original form. Women are not the cause of evil, men are. Women just have to suffer for it. And so, yes, being born and raised in the church, I have longed for Zion. I grew up in Southern California among white supremacist Christian nationalist born-again Christian peers. They scared me. What they wanted to do to mankind and the world scared me. And now they're all grown up and they're doing exactly what they threatened to do as kids. I wanted nothing to do with that. For some reason that my mom never explained, she didn't want us to grow up in Utah. She wanted us to grow up in the world, but separated from blacks, Hispanics, so that they had us living in new subdivision homes among the white supremacist Christian nationalist peers, which born-again Christians were the big thing back in those days. And it resulted in my isolationism, because I can't associate with people who want to harm other people, and yet still being forced to because of school and the public school system. I was able to live among them and be left alone by them. My brother was not so fortunate. He was unable to live among them but not be as them like I was. He was fully isolated as Mormon. He heard Olivia Newton-John's Let's Get Physical on the radio, went to Mommy and said, "Mommy, this is a good song. It's about physical fitness." And she told him, "No, it's not. It's about sex. Sex is evil and of the devil." Screw Adam fell that men might be, and men are that they might have joy in childbirth. And so my brother stayed at home, only playing church hymns from the hymn book. When he went to BYU, they tempted him into classical pieces. And then when he went to the University of Michigan, the Arms of the Angel from City of Angels. I don't think he saw the movie. I don't think it was rated R. Maybe I don't think so. See, I don't care about R ratings. That's an idol god. You should not judge a movie by its rating. You should judge a movie by its content. PG-13. Yeah. And so, yeah, for him to watch a movie that clearly is religious false doctrine would be uncharacteristic of him. Whereas me, I'm watching R-rated movies. I want to watch the movie. Nobody's going to stop me. For me, it's not about entertainment. To emulate the characters. For me, I learn human behavior, more so with movies and TV shows. I'm analyzing facial expressions for the actions that they perform, the way they interact with other people. Whereas most people just sit and laugh and then they find themselves emulating the particular behaviors in real life. Allowing the TV shows and the movies and songs to dictate how to live their life rather than controlling how they live their life, controlling what they therefore watch and how they watch it. And thus, the white supremacist Christian nationalist peers control what they watch, but it's based on their hatred of mankind. They watch what embraces their doctrine. And if it doesn't embrace their doctrine, they hate it. They think it's the worst thing ever, etc., etc. And so, yeah, the WWE was a big thing for them because it's contention, it's fighting, it's outright lying, getting angry and vocal and talking over the other person, and cheating on spouses and violence to solve problems. They love that. They're unable to understand that it's all scripted and therefore not real in that sense. And yet that was the whole thing when it was becoming popular. It's fake, it's not real, they pulled their punches. That's not the point. So the world missed out not understanding it. And so, yeah, when there isn't real blood, they then turn to fight clubs. Real fight clubs before Fight Club movie. worse, to inhumane torture and abuse of human beings through that process. Using others to hunt and to fight to the death and to cheer it on. We've devolved far beyond the Romans with the gladiators. So much so that I fear that I may never get to see the Zion that I've longed for my whole life. Despite being a witness to share it with you, that the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith are true, that everything for the latter days is happening and has happened. All of the signs in the heavens happened. All of the predictions of the future have happened, except for the final four, as I have termed it. It's when Moses confronts Pharaoh, saying, "Let my people go," and he won't do it until his kingdom and church falls. Then he transfers authority to Moses, and Moses takes the house of Israel in an exodus to Zion. And there at the location, because they were unworthy for Canaan, but that you're allowing Christians to intervene. They're there at tents. The Festival of Tents for the Jews is based on that. And yet, the Jews do not acknowledge, other than it's in the scriptures, but because they weren't the northern tribes, they don't celebrate the House of Israel's Festival of Tents, which is also called Tabernacles, Sukkot, Ingathering, Harvest, the gathering of fruit, the harvest of the fruit. Faith without works is dead. So I'm very well aware that if we do not get to Zion, we're dead. All is lost. All is vain. Today is day 2. If you're brand new and you're still listening because you weren't offended, because you're wicked, because you're not wicked. The wicked don't like what I say. Those who didn't know are curious, but you're very skeptical. This is not the test run year. This is it. And Trump is being faced with this reality. Trump is being used by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to get their kingdom back. This was their 200-year-old plot, as spoken of in the Book of Mormon in code. Everybody who's literate and can comprehend what they read knows the Book of Mormon is not literal history. Whether they understand what it actually is highly doubtful. I seem to be the only one who knew that it's prophecy and revelation. Trump because of Trump's manner, he confuses people. He throws just a whole ton of stuff at you. And so instead of stepping back and looking at the big picture, having done your research on Trump, his art of the deal, you end up falling for his trap of picking and choosing what you want from him. And that goes for Fox and MAGA followers, not just the deep state Dem press. The Antifa party. They pick and choose what they want to cover in the news. They pick and choose what they want to hear. And so most of what Trump says and does gets missed. And when his fixer turned himself in and went to prison for it and spoke to Congress and spilled the beans and showed the receipts with the signatures. He made it very clear to Congress how Trump works and operates. He's not lying, as that was Deep State Dem Press's big thing in the first term. How many lies is Trump going to break the record with today? Obviously they are lies, but that's not what he intends them to be. He's giving orders as a mob boss for them to happen. So when he has his auto Sharpie and he draws the hurricane in a different direction, that's what he's ordering. No, the hurricane is not going to the Carolinas. It's going in that direction. As absurd as it is. He's serious about doing what he says. He's giving orders. That's why he vilifies innocent people. He's giving orders to abuse them, to lock them up, to deport them. He put a hit on you. And still, despite Michael Cohen, nobody understands him. Nobody believes that that's what Trump is doing. So this year, he comes out and says, we are deporting the illegals. And the MAGA states only deported the illegals. That's not what Trump said. Nobody understands what Trump means by an illegal. They forgot the first term. Blacks need to go back to the bleep hole country where they don't belong. They're illegal. The Democrats, Antifa, illegal. LGBTQ, IAPO+, illegal. Women, illegal. The poor, illegal. Not just those who are undocumented, whether committing crimes or not. Whether they've been here for decades and the government is unwilling to process them to be American citizens. But even those who are legitimate, legalized citizens, you know, like the woman at the Salt Lake City airport. She's documented, she's a legal citizen, but she's illegal, according to Trump. She's got to go. And this shows you how Utah does not understand Trump. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints put Trump in because they knew he was going to do this. And Governor Cox is too stupid to figure it out. They made sure Cox won the election. And Cox is still too stupid to figure it out. Section 119. Trump is to do the first big purge of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints illegals. Everybody who's an apostate, everybody who's not paying tithing, you gotta go. That's what Trump was supposed to do. Purge Utah. So that when the church gets their kingdom back, they have less people to deal with and can crush them easily with the military that is under the church's control. Each state is to run their own state. Everything that it takes to live in a society, the states are supposed to do it. They are no longer to rely on the federal government for support. They have to be sovereign, independent nation states, tributary to Trump. The church is going to have Trump murdered once the transfer is made. That's why the church is getting impatient. And Trump is putting himself in danger because of his arrogance. As he knows that if it were fair elections, not AI projections, that he would get his butt spanked. The people always vote Democrat in the majority. And so, yes, he knew that those elections the other day would result in the Democrats sweeping. But his arrogance was to use that to justify what he's going to be doing very soon. Unless he keeps dragging it out, as he's been doing all year. The church is very upset with him. He has until the midterms. And maybe he's arrogant enough to say, yeah, let them take over Congress so that I can justify militarizing against Congress to shut it down. That would be stupid. You can crush America now. Why are you hesitating? Have you never watched the movies where the villain always hesitates and thus the superhero always wins because of hesitation on the part of the enemy? Even James Bond, the villain hesitates. They had the opportunity to point and shoot and get rid of Bond, and they don't. They hesitate because of their arrogance. And Bond always wins. Villains never learn. Right Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so in the United States, there are divisions on how the states run themselves, despite the federal government giving support to all of them. The smoking and drinking age is different between the states. Driver's licenses, the age to get married. The allowance for cousins. Divorce reasons and how divorce should be taken care of are different among the states. But Utah is unique in that we are all about independently running Utah because of Deseret Brigham Young. We are the enemy of the nation. It's one of the things they cover up and hide about church history for. And yet, the traditional culture of Mormonism is to rebel against the federal government. As you see it even in the break-off groups, the Bundys, the Allreds, the Jeffs, and others. But in Utah, you see differences from the rest of the nation, not just some of the nation. In asylums, pyramid schemes, the Zion Curtain, Prop 8. This is where they tampered in California's election, not just sticking to Utah. Equal Rights Amendment. Utah was the reason why women are not treated equally in America. Marijuana, the public voted for it, and the church stepped in and said, no. We want it tampered with. The people are stupid. We want it done our way. And they always throw in children on the front lines to get slaughtered. Children are getting harmed. See, we're pushing the children in the front lines to get shot. And thus porn. It harms children. See, we're exposing children to porn. It's harming them. They're learning sex ed. They're learning that Adam fell that man might be. That women are, that they're not beautiful, lovely, of good report, and praiseworthy to be sought after. So every form of technology, every form of art, they attack and make laws that violate the Constitution. And thus the prosecution process. Complete violation of the Constitution. No other state is this abusive to their own people, like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints makes Utah be abusive to its people with. And so it's not a surprise that the church is refusing to give up the money they've been hoarding for the second coming and Armageddon of Jesus. They're still not using it. It's here, it's now, and they're still not using it. They're still hoarding money, just not to the extremes anymore, because they're expecting it to happen anytime soon, but Trump is delaying things. That's why they aren't doing temples anymore. That's why they weren't supposed to be having a first presidency anymore. But somebody's been reading his scriptures and did videos. And so, yeah, we're in day 38 of the record-breaking shutdown from 3rd Nephi chapter 7. The regulations of the federal government destroyed by the secret combinations of the Danites and the Confederates, the original Illuminati. And there's still no indication that the shutdown will be lifted, despite some MAGA concerned about the bill now that MAGA is in jeopardy. It's all part of Trump's plan. You should have paid attention to him. Trump knows what he's doing. But nonetheless, nobody else does. And Trump did not factor that factor into his factoring. But even if they were to cut out this nonsense and extort the American people for health care, it's going to take months to recover now. The agencies are all shut down. You got to get the people back. They got to get the system operational again. That takes time. It takes months with a new president, with a new administration, to get them all into position and to get them processing things. And even with the system already in place, it still takes months. But Trump said this is what he was doing, and he did it. And then everybody went, wait, what are you doing? When did you say you were going to do this? You weren't listening. And I voted for you, Trump. Why are you doing this to me? You weren't listening. That's why he's doing it to you. You wouldn't listen. So the judge came out and demanded that SNAP be fully funded now. That their namby-pamby around has to stop. And so no halvesies on SNAP. That's going to take months to process. No, fully fund it now. And of course they're still going to delay and they're going to hesitate, try to countersue and blah, blah, blah to make sure that people starve and die. Having other people sacrifice their lives to support those who are that are supposed to lie down and die. But we'll see. SCOTUS allowed Trump to deny passports to LGBTQIAPO+ in Canada 2S. I warned you. You're not listening. YouTube didn't want you to listen. We're repeating Nazi Germany, where they had those who were gay identified and labeled with a inverted triangle symbol colored pink. This time around, with the greater technology in America, they let you change your driver's license, your birth certificate, and your passports so that they would have a blacklist of you, and now they're using it against you. Remember, you're illegal. You're Antifa. You fell for it. And it was Nazi psychologists that made you who you are in the first place. Tried to warn you on that one too. You wouldn't listen to that either. Utah became one of the central places for the CIA to use Mormons as guinea pigs for human experimentations to continue what they were doing to the Jews in World War II. That's why you were getting nuked in St. George. They wanted to see how humans would react to being nuked, what it does to the body. They found out. And so I hope the money was worth it. As nuclear testing has resumed, fortunately, or at least the first shot, was a miss of Hawaii, or was that on purpose? We're not sure. It is Democrat, isn't it? So maybe that was his way of getting rid of the Democrat state of Hawaii. And he would just say, well, it was a volcanic eruption. Maybe we should nuke it. Like hurricanes. Millard County has begun building the AI data center. Millard County, you did not put up a fight big enough for this. They tricked you with jobs. An AI data center doesn't need humans. But it's also going to raise your electric bill dramatically. You should be scared to have an AI data center because it requires so much energy, and they refuse to do solar to solve the problem. And so this is why Utah wants a nuclear power plant, because I'm sure nothing bad would ever happen. They'd be able to keep it from leaking especially if we hook it up to AI to run it. I'm sure nothing wrong would ever happen. But it's still years away from getting completed and operational. But still, if this weren't Armageddon, you should be concerned and prevent it from being built. But Armageddon is happening, and we may not live to get to that point anyway. People assume memorization equals intelligence. Jeopardy helped perpetuate that myth of falsehood. And so people who memorize are able to impress people who aren't able to memorize. Well, how you're so smart, you know so much. They know nothing. They know how to regurgitate. This was why computers were invented in the first place. To memorize in the programming, to regurgitate it, so that our research can have that redundancy, tedious work taken care of instantly by a computer, so that we can spend the time analyzing the data as an intelligence to make discoveries with. That's how I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew as quick as I did. Computer technology sped up the monotonous part of the research. And for those of you who are aware of the beta program of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for the Scriptures, that included Greek and Hebrew, it was the students at BYU in Greek or Biblical Hebrew class who were utilized to do the monotonous, tedious translations. And then the professor had his name attached to it. I'm familiar with that because at the University of Lethbridge I took Greek for my final term, and final class. And at the end, Thomas Robinson came to me and asked if I would do that for his CD-ROM to be attached to his Mastering Greek publication that he was going to release revised with the CD-ROM for people to learn Greek with. He wanted me to do the programming for that. I said, I just graduated. I'm heading down to Utah. Utah, what's that? Is that south of the border of Mexico? And so I recommended John Penny, but John Penny said he had to pass it up when I met him at BYU and took me to see Con Air. And I'm trying to explain to him how that's a prophecy of my life. And yep, sure enough, it was. How do I live without you? Oh, crap. Is that actually going to be the theme song? During that song now. I need to hurry up and finish so I can go running. Are we on the back page here. So yeah, intelligence is being able to process factual information. It's not regurgitating factual information, because a monkey can do that part. Monkey see, monkey do. So Tim Ballard is all shocked and horrified that the church would betray him and now excommunicate him. Nuance Ho already isn't on top of Tim Ballard. She's obsessed with him. She won't let him go. But nonetheless, I don't get it. She was all about criticizing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and now it seems like she's only focused on Tim Ballard and what a deviant he is. And so she covered this last month or so when I saw the video of hers. But yeah, the local news is now covering it. He feels betrayed, and he was. He was. Ballard supported him with the tithing information, and then he died for violating his Temple Covenant path. That's strange. The Temple Covenant path before 1991 included death penalty. Huh. Strange. Tim Ballard, I think, is old enough for that too, isn't he? Let's find out. Although I will then have to stop the video and finish the rest of it off when I get back from my run. Oops. He should have his own Wikipedia page. He does. Church makes sure I will never have my own Wikipedia page. Oh, nope. No, wait a minute. No, he graduated in 1994. Still too young. Yeah, he messed out. Yeah, if he was 18 when he was 24, that was 75 when he was born. Though I don't see his birth date listed here. That's strange. And so yeah, 75, 18, yeah, it was after when he went on his mission. As a member, he served a 2-year mission in Chile. After my brother, who got worms and had to come home and go be reassigned to Texas for the rest of his term. Got worms. It was only in the body, from what I understood. It's not in the brain, like Ronald McDonald K. Jr. Ooh, 41 degrees this morning, huh? Okay. All right. So. Yeah. What's interesting about this is that Trump, MAGA, and Fox, obviously all three, support Tim Ballard, where the church doesn't. And so Tim Ballard will be protected in the end, like other Mormons who've been pardoned. But it doesn't seem like the case is going anywhere with Tim Ballard. I'm not hearing any further stuff on that after Ballard died to keep his Temple Covenant path of violating. But for Mormons to turn on Tim Ballard is to turn on Trump, MAGA, and Fox. They're in control right now. Are you sure you want to do that? Church is brazen enough to do that, as all wicked people are. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, being the major stock investor in the stock market, approved Musk becoming a trillionaire. He won't necessarily be a trillionaire, but yeah, the $1 trillion deal thing. October 25th, or October 2025, that was the highest month of layoffs ever in American history. Oops. Like I said, Trump is hesitating. He's making mistakes, allowing things to be torturous. This is a torture tactic to delay death, to torture a person, but not kill them off immediately, to prolong it as long as the body can take it. The Nazis learned about this to the Jews, and thus continued it here in Utah. It is now legal to throw food at ICE. One man who was arrested for throwing a sandwich at ICE has been vindicated. Food fight! Nobody wants to throw food anymore. We're starving as part of the torture. Nonetheless, that was funny. And to finish us off, so I can go running, airlines have now cut services, and yet the BYU fans are oblivious to what's going on in the big picture. They're going down to Texas to watch the game in Texas. And they are likely to get trapped and stranded in Texas if they're even allowed to go to Texas. Because it's tomorrow, it's going to take several days to drive, I'd guess. It takes a couple of days from California. And so they'd likely be taking the plane. Good luck with that. You're making the church's job easier by getting yourself kicked out of Utah. All we need is the church to fall. That's all we need. And then transfer authority to me so that I can take you guys in an exodus to Zion to build it. And I've got that video also. Simply put, Zion is like Noah's Ark. The flood is the destruction of mankind around the whole world. We need Zion to preserve the human race. And I know there are people who want the wide open spaces. They don't want to be confined with other people in an urban environment. They need suburbia, they need the rural lands. But you don't understand the danger that's coming. We need Zion. Once the world exterminates themselves, we in Zion can then emerge from the ark to repair and restore the earth as we branch out. And so, even though it may not be in your day, is it really worth it to skip Zion because you don't want to live with other people? Maybe. maybe. But too many people don't see the dangers. Just like little kids, they don't know the dangers. That's parents' responsibility to protect the kids and inform and communicate with the kids so that they understand why you're screaming at them not to touch the fire.